came to the film, I'm going to be completely honest, I found it to be quite enjoyable. First, it has got a great cast list. It was the main and only reason I went to watch this film, and I think they did an exceptional job, each and every one of them. The acting in this film was superb, and I think during the latter half we get a lot of serious moments, even actors like Jason Bateman, who pulled off quite an in-depth, emotional scene where we see the high stakes of the person he's playing, and the high stakes situation the company is in right now has a huge effect on not only brand itself, but also the employees, and him being one of them. It's just really impactful. We see Sonny, who played by Matt Damon. He's really taking a risk going after Michael Jordan, trying to sign him to Nike. And we see that he is a gambler, which makes a lot of sense of this pursuit, as even though the odds are stacked against him of signing Michael Jordan, he still persists, and it's somewhat sees Michael Jordan as a real high stakes bet, and it's just interesting of how he is continuously pursuing him, even though, like I said, the odds are stacked against him. I thought it was very cool that even though everyone is telling Sonny not to pursue him, as Michael Jordan is an Adidas fan, he wants to sign them, he persists on going after Michael, and even going behind people's backs to meet up with Michael Jordan's mum, that being Dolores, and does his best to convince her why Nike will be better than Adidas and Converse, and somewhat is successful. In this film there's a lot of hysterical moments. It's a very funny film, which was very nice. I think that the best actors to bring the comedy was definitely Matt Damon and Chris Messina, who are great individually, but when they have scenes together, they're very funny. Affleck, I thought, did a very good job. He started off more on the comedic side of things, but in the later half of the film, like others, he became more serious. And whilst I enjoyed his performance, I feel like he could have been much better if he was given more screen time, as I feel like his seriousness wasn't on the same level as Jason Bateman or Matt Damon, but if he had more time, he could have been up there. When it comes to my favourite moment of the film, it has to be the meeting itself, as obviously it's a high stakes situation. They can either win or lose, and so the meeting starts off very well. It's up until they start playing a video. We see that Sonny clocks that Michael Jordan is not interested, so he cuts it and talks to him directly from the heart, and makes this really impactful speech, basically saying how in the grand scheme of things Michael Jordan will be more remembered than the people in the room, and he knows that he has the talent, and he believes that in the fame he will get. And it's really quite a moving speech, and it just shows you how great of an actor Matt Damon can be. I found it very interesting how the name Air Jordans comes along, and in this film they tell two sides. First one is from Peter Moore, who made the shoe, and he pitches the name Air Jordans to both Sonny and Rob. And it's earlier in the film though, we hear Michael Jordan's own agent saying something similar on the lines of Air Jordans, and so it's interesting to see two conflicting stories. And it's also interesting to know that before Air Jordans were a thing, Nike is not the same company as it is today, and if anything, Adidas was the top dog, and then it was Converse and then Nike. And I just found that really quite interesting, that if it would not for Air Jordans, the company probably would have went bust and not be the company it is today. I liked how Dolores Jordan set up Michael Jordan's legacy in the early stages of his career by making sure he is financially stable with the deal that Nike and their son have, and she concocted a part of the deal which was never heard of, and it could have been a deal breaker at that point. So I found that very fascinating, how much of an impact she had on his career on the financial side of things. Now, admittedly, I thought the film would be more than just how Nike signed Michael Jordan, as well I enjoyed seeing the company and Sonny himself jumping through hoops to get to Michael Jordan. I feel like there's more to this story, as they don't show the impact Michael Jordan brought to Nike and how they felt about these new sales coming in, the huge impact of Air Jordans did, and we don't see the company rebranding, and what happened to all the other people who had a huge part in making Nike signing Michael Jordan. I thought that would be the more interesting story, but sadly we don't see that. It's towards the end we just get little facts and figures of the company appearing for about 2 minutes before the film ends, and I just found that really disappointing, as I know there's more to it. I'll be honest, while I had a decent time watching this film, there's no real replay value bringing me back, and it doesn't really appeal to me, as I feel like this film more makes sense in the United States, as basketball is quite a phenomenon there, similar to how football is in the UK, and culturally it just doesn't appeal to me, as basketball isn't as big as it in the UK as it is in the States, but then again, that could just be me. Overall, it's a good film, but if you're like me and not really interested in both Nike or basketball, then there's no real replay value except for 2 scenes. And I think the cast did a superb job. I thought the story was hooking, but there's more to it that we never get to see. And so for those reasons alone, I have to say, is it good? It's cool, but that's it. And rating wise, it's a 6.5 for me. Now, recommendations, I do have plenty. I'm a huge fan of both Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. They're great together. I think their first film they worked on, Good Will Hunting, not only is it a masterclass in writing, but acting as well. The two also act amazingly well in the film Dogma, not only with hysterical moments, but very serious moments as well. Affleck, in my eyes, has always been a good actor. Even though I'm not a big fan of the film, I have to admit his performance in the film Chasing Amy is amazing. He did a great job both mixing seriousness with humour as well. When it comes to Matt Damon, my favourite role of his is his Sergeant Sullivan performance in the film Departed. He and Leonardo DiCaprio did an amazing job in that film. Jason Bateman, who was fantastic in this film, and he does a very interestingly serious role, which are rare to come by with him, but when he does it, it's superb. Projects like that are The Outsiders. Even though it's a small role, he does an impeccable job. And then obviously the TV show Ozark, which again was amazing. Now, whilst I do love his serious side, I think he does his best in the comedy side of things. Recommendations like Pool, where he plays FBI agent Lorenzo Zoil. Fantastic performance. I think he did amazing in films like Horrible Bosses 1 and 2 and The Change Up, but my first experience of watching him doing his acting is in the film Hancock. Now, those are my recommendations. This has been my review for the film Air. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed, please like and subscribe, and as always, thank you and have a nice day.